When I was younger, I did not want to become a priest. Thankfully, I had spiritual parents. We as a family prayed the rosary almost every night together as a family. And I remember our mother brought us children to a perpetual Eucharistic adoration chapel that was somewhat close to our house in Southern California. And my brother, Joseph, who is a year and a half older than I, when he got his driver's license, we thought, well, we don't have to depend on mom to bring us to the adoration chapel. We could go on our own. So one night, he and I went to the adoration chapel. Of course, he was driving and I was just in the passenger seat. And we parked the car in the parking lot of the church. And before we could even get out of the car, we saw a priest with priestly collar on, full religious habit, identified as a priest in every external way. He was the priest who established the perpetual Eucharistic adoration chapel there at that parish. And he approached our car and he knocked on the window. And we rolled the window down and we said, "Hey, Father, how's it going?" And we started off with small talk. And he eventually looked at both of us and he asked us a question. He said, "What about the priesthood?" And I said to him, "What about the priesthood?" And he again looked at both of us and he said, "Tell me one good reason why you two shouldn't be priests." And I thought to myself, he is crazy. Who is this priest trying to pose on my future? And I gave him the whole litany of excuses. Want a beautiful wife, big family, big house, nice car. I gave him the whole American dream. And I'm not knocking the American dream. It's something commendable in and of itself, as long as it's not contrary to God's law. But again, he looked at both of us and he said, "You two should seriously consider the priesthood. The church needs young men to step up to the plate and fight on the front lines for the salvation of souls." And he left us, and I was shocked at the challenge that that priest gave us that night. We prayed in adoration, and on the way back home, my brother, of course, was driving, and my brother broke the silence, and he asked me this question. He said, "What do you think about what that priest said?" And I said, "He is crazy." And by the grace of God, my brother responded, "Why not?" And I thought to myself, "You're crazy." And to make the longer story short here, that challenge that that priest gave me that night, it never left me. I knew the value, the importance and dignity of the priesthood, and about how souls are dependent on priests for their salvation. And I eventually asked that priest who was outside that car that night to be my spiritual director. And about 8 years later, when I got ordained the transitional deacon, that priest who was outside that car that night, he clothed me with the vestment when I got ordained a transitional deacon. In the following year, when I got ordained a priest, my brother, Joseph, who was in that car that night, who is now Father Joseph Aytona, a priest of Jesus Christ, he clothed me with the priestly vestment when I got ordained a priest of Jesus Christ. That priest got me. Now, I won't share the story so that you all can, look at my brother and say to both of us, they made it. That's not the point of the story. The point of the story here is that priest did his job, right? Think about it. He's a priest seeing two young men go to the adoration chapel on their own. Why not challenge them? I have been a priest for 13 years now. I have literally offered thousands of masses for your intentions. I have literally nourished thousands of souls with the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ to strengthen them on their journey in this life. I've literally heard countless confessions, allowing God to work through me, through the absolution, reconciling immortal souls to God. I would have to question if any of that could have happened if it wasn't for that priest who challenged me that night outside that car. I think all of you here are in a certain sense indebted to that priest in some way, right? So the point that I'm making here is, again, we can never underestimate the ongoing spiritual fruits, which is of infinite value, which could come from simply even planting seeds in a young man's heart for this particular cause, for vocations to the priesthood. I'm not saying that every one of you is going to do it the same way that the priest did towards my brother and I, but according to the way that God is calling each and every one of you, as this is a team effort. Again, for most of us, it's going to be prayer, right? Especially coming before the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ in Eucharistic adoration, asking the Lord of the harvest to send laborers into his vineyard. Sacrifices. Maybe it's giving up a dessert here or there. Maybe it's giving up the television show that we like, or the football game, or maybe it's giving up an hour a week to, again, go to Eucharistic adoration, offer up that holy hour for priestly vocation. Because this particular matter that I'm speaking about right now, about vocations of the priesthood, this is not just the bishop's problem. This is not just the vocation director's problem. This is everybody's business. Because again, it will affect every single one of you, for the primary graces that God willed, especially the sacraments, is applied to our soul through the hands of priest. And so all this being said, I would like to address a certain group of people who may be here today, and also a certain group of people who may be watching this video homily on the internet. I'm speaking right now about the group of young men. If you are a young man watching this video homily on the internet, don't turn off the video. And even if there were any young men here, I know their parents and even grandparents and adults who may know young men who are prayerful, devout, tell them that Father Jewel Aytona from the Fathers of Mercy has a message for them. Young men, I challenge you with a question. Is God calling you to the holy priesthood? It takes a lot of sacrifice, but I assure you, if you step up to the plate in front, on the front lines for the salvation of souls, it will be a beautiful life. If you become a priest, you won't be able to kiss a wife goodbye every single day before you go to work. But if you become a priest, you will be able to enter into the sanctuary, the Holy of Holies, and kiss and reverence the altar of God where the sacrifice of Christ is perpetuated. If you become a priest, you won't be able to hold your own child in your own hands. But if you become a priest, you will be able to hold in your hands God himself and present him to God the Father and for the salvation of the world. If you become a priest, you won't be able to assist in bringing forth physical life into the world. But if you become a priest, you will be able to, with your hands, baptize someone and to bring spiritual life to their immortal soul and to open up wide the gates of the kingdom of heaven for them. And if you become a priest, you won't be able to wave goodbye to your children before they go to school every single day. But if you become a priest, you will be able to raise your hands in the form of a cross while saying those words of absolution and the sacrament of confession, and to practically wash away the eternal fires of hell from an immortal soul and to reckon that soul with God. What a beautiful gift for those men whom God is calling. And we know that God is calling many, many young men. Unfortunately, there's a lot of noise out there in the world and a lot of competing voices. And so we have to calm our hearts down and listen to the voice of God and respond generously. And also, again, for each and every one of us to play a particular role in assisting for this cause for vocations to the priesthood. And if you are a young man watching this right now, contact the Fathers of Mercy. Come check us out.